I am sure sports. You know me there. I'm coach to coach representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me no know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment. Let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick-Nick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices. Add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick-Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
All right. We are back again. Welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I know what it is, and you may be saying, why is Manningsman doing this to us? He knows that there is a return of the Boom El Clasico, and he puts this important video right in the midst of that game when Waterhouse are playing Arnett Gardens. But don't worry, we will give you the update, and the game will be replayed later tonight on Sportsmax as well, so you can re-watch it, because this is too good for you to miss it. But welcome to the platform. We're going to have a very interesting discussion today. We're going to talk to a couple of persons who were fans of, one was a fan of the Jamaica football team, the Reggae Boys, when they qualified for the World Cup. They were actually in France in 1998 for that journey. We also have a fan from Trinidad and Tobago. His name is Nigel Fabian, and though in the thumbnail it says Fabian, it's actually Fabien. He's a fan from Trinidad and Tobago, and he's going to be here. We just sorting out some technical difficulties. It's finally done. But before we bring on Nigel, who I'm seeing right now, we're going to bring on my co-host, the man. Listen, I won't even tell you his name in the comment section. I have to keep him incognito so he can continue to post and support a particular team in the comment section on all our other streams, and you will not know it's him. I will not tell you his name. But he is Andre Fortune, and he's back with us. Both of us are co-hosts, and I Am Sure Sports Caribbean. And so we want to encourage you to subscribe to that. Dear Fresh God has put the link to that channel in the comment section, because we want to increase the numbers over there so that we can begin to play these videos predominantly on that particular platform, right? So you need to support me and support Andre by subscribing to I Am Sure Sports Caribbean, where we'll be covering just sporting stuff in across the Caribbean. In fact, two goalkeepers who will be coming on the program over the next couple of weeks. One is Shaka Hislop, and the other is Aaron Wildboy Lawrence. You know him. He kept for Jamaica, and Shaka kept in the World Cup for Trinidad and Tobago. And we want that to be exclusively on the I Am Sure Sports Caribbean platform. But too much of me, I talk too much. I'm going to I've introduced him, but Andre is going to share a little bit with you, and then he's going to introduce the fan who traveled to the World Cup. I'm telling you, he's a legend in Trinidad, I suppose. But let's hear his story. Go ahead, Andre, and then we will bring. You want me to bring him on, and then you talk?
Bring him on one time. There's not much about me to tell, so we're gonna start with Nigel. Nigel is the star tonight. Nigel, you're muted. Just so you know that. Okay,
there we go.
You're muted now.
There we go.
All right,
can you hear me now?
Good.
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Wonderful. Nigel is from the south part of Trinidad and Tobago. Okay, he's a well-known entertainer. He was the MC for a number of years at the Atlanta Carnival, which everybody knows is a major event in Trinidad. But Nigel also has 23 years experience as a.
I thought you were going to say 23 kids because I was.
No. But that could have been coming from the Caribbean. That could have been part of the discussion.
I only claim 3.
But Nigel has been a commercial banker for the past 23 years. He went to college here in America, played 3 years at the NAIA, been to 3 national championships. He's a licensed coach as well and coaches actively in the Atlanta area. Okay, he's a father of 3, as he just told you. So he's someone who is passionate about Trinidad and Tobago football in the region, in the Caribbean. And he's been someone who's been organizing bus rides whenever the Trinidad team is playing in the USA. He's been helping get people to the games. So he's very passionate, and he was able to experience the 2006 World Cup, not just the qualification process, but he was in Germany. So we'd like to talk to Nigel a little bit about that experience tonight and see if he can help us remind people of what that felt like.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nigel.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Manning's Man and you, Andre, for inviting me to be on this podcast. I've heard a lot about it, and it continues to grow in its reputation. And I certainly am honored to be asked to be on this show. So Andre is right. Yeah, I've been here in Atlanta now since 99. And any opportunity that I get to support the Soca Warriors or any Caribbean team that's in the area, we always try to go and lend our support. And I've been fortunate to be involved in not just sports, but I've been involved in culture as well, more on the comedy scene and doing master of ceremonies for carnivals and stuff like that. And I even got to work with the great Oliver Samuels a few years ago. It was quite an honor indeed to grace the stage with a legend like Oliver. So, yes, I was very blessed and fortunate back in 2006 to go to the World Cup in Germany. And let me tell you, that has left such a good experience. Those memories will never go away. It was so good to see Caribbean people coming out. And it was, it was not just the welcome that we got, but it is almost difficult to put to words the experience, because you got to see people from different generations who live all different parts of the world coming and supporting your country, and even people from other countries embracing us. At the time, we were the smallest country to ever qualify. I don't know if we still have that designation, but it was so fortunate. And I remember People don't understand this.
Fabian, let me interrupt you for a minute.
Sure.
We lost that designation to Iceland, I believe. But let's go
Okay.
back. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to the qualification period.
Well, you know what, Andre? What would be? I don't know if because my biggest memory was how Trinidad like missed out. I think it was in 1990. They had like this one game against the USA in Trinidad, and I think they needed like a point.
Yeah.
And they lost the game. I don't know if you were there to kind of tell me how that felt first, and then how the campaign, and then get into the campaign to see like having had that bad experience where you missed out, and then to finally like get here and just tell us.
Well, Andre, let me correct him. We were close in 1970 as well.
That one was taken away from us. I understand we actually qualified.
Taken away from us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in Haiti, in those days, you had qualifiers in one country. And the final of the CONCACAF qualifiers were in Haiti, and the favorites were Mexico. And just imagine the Trinidad and Tobago team beat that favorite team 4-0 in that qualifier.
Whoa.
And when we reached to play Haiti, something like 5 goals were disallowed.
That's how Haiti qualified?
Yep. That's under Papa Doc Duvalier. And let me just tell you, the referee and the officials were banned for life. But that happened. Yeah, it did happen after the World Cup had already played. So that generation, I feel so sorry for them. They worked so hard. Steve David, Gally Cummings, those guys. That team was like the golden era of Trinidad and Tobago football. Yeah. And they didn't get to play in the World Cup.
So all this time we heard about Haiti qualifying. This is the first time I'm actually hearing the story of their qualification in 1970. Interesting.
So that's why, man, when research is so important, right? When 2 days ago, I heard you telling somebody about the youngest team that ever played, the youngest professional team in the world.
In the world, right? Yes.
You were commenting that it was going to be research. I heard that conversation.
Yes. All right. So 1970, then 20 years later.
So 20 years later, we're talking about qualifying for Italia 90.
Yep.
And the Trinidad and Tobago team, Strike Squad, as it was nicknamed back then, we had a popular song by the late and great Lancelot Lane. Strike Squad, it was a popular song, and it was like the rara song for the team. And we had great players at that time. Dwight York and Latapi were young teenagers on the team.
And Leon St. Louis was on that team as well.
Great players. Michael Morrison, goal, Earl Spider-Man Carter. I mean, that team was stacked. Carey Jameson, you name the players, we had them. And they just needed 1 point at home, a tie against the US, who was not highly fancied at the time. And we lost 1-0. And that changed a lot of things for a lot of people. That was the first time the US qualified since the 50s. Yes. And you realize after that qualification, they never looked back.
Yeah, until the recent World Cup where they missed the one before. Well, they missed the last World Cup.
Yes. That one, and ironically, it was the final hurdle in Trinidad that they couldn't get over. So it was like
deja vu. Wow. Yeah. It is true. It was Trinidad who actually stopped them.
Yeah. Yep. So it was kind of ironic that they stopped us and now we got a chance to stop them.
Yeah. Okay. Then now we get into the campaign that led up to the qualification. That's where Andre was. So now we can pick up from.
What I want to share too is, there's so much more to than just the game. As a fan, I can tell you, I've been a fan like Andre and others. There are many fans as in Jamaica and in Trinidad and around the Caribbean who follow. I mean, from the time I was a little boy, I would go to the stadium with friends and my big brothers, and they to see the likes of all the top players play. And when we lost that game to go to the World Cup in 1990, let me tell you something. It was like a cloud just descended on Trinidad and Tobago. Up until the final whistle, people still had hope that that team was going to somehow find a way to win and we'd go to Italy. And then it didn't happen. And let me tell you, an entire nation had a broken heart. I have never experienced anything like that. I could just feel it for the players. But as a fan, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't believe we came so close. The game we love so much could be so cruel. So it was something else. And what people don't understand is there's so much other parts, socio-economic impacts that happen around a qualifier. We did not even go to that World Cup, but there were people making songs. There were people, vendors selling things, coming up with T-shirts, the people selling flags, the patriotism that we saw. The only other time I saw it was fast forward to 2006 when we did qualify. And I think this is lost on a lot of the political leaders sometimes because, you know, you have a limited budget in these little Caribbean islands to spend on so many different things. And then you're thinking, well, you know, in every Caribbean island, you have so many young people that need to get into sports and everything else. But, you know, football is a thing. You need to put money into it. There are so many levels where the money is spent, but it has to be spent because you cannot get to a World Cup without having a good budget. That's the reality. It's the reality.
You have to have it. Let me ask you this. You remember who you watched the game with that day?
The one we lost. I was at home. I could not afford a ticket to go to the stadium, unfortunately.
That's okay.
In 1990.
Yeah, I could not afford a ticket because the tickets were going like hot cake. And I kept saying, I will buy one just now. By the time I came around, they were gone.
Right.
And I ended up having to watch it at home with my family. And let me tell you, it was long tears because it was celebration, and then tears.
Right.
I think a lot of Jamaicans were like, because I remember as a child watching that game live, and seeing the crowds because even the stadium wasn't covered. I can't remember where it was played, but I know it was at least one part. I can remember clear one part of the stadium. It was open. It never had a roof over that part of the stadium. The music, calypso music playing. It was just
it was a sea of red.
Red. Yes. So,
very good memories.
Yeah. So it is. Yeah, but you said that, like I said, it goes beyond just what is done on the field, just all the other intangible stuff that affects society in a whole. Where, you said, the flagman, the T-shirt vendor,
men selling nuts, men selling snow cone. Tanti might be making some kind of soup, something. Everybody, there's a football economy. You know, Let me tell you, it's a whole economy unto itself.
Yeah.
Because if one guy from some little village was on the team, you know that whole community coming up, and so on. And then when it gets closer to the qualifiers, when you're almost there, the whole nation is involved. Unfortunately, sometimes the business community, they wait a little too late to get involved. And that happens a lot because to their defense, they don't want to back a losing horse. They're waiting to see if the team is going to be something that is accountable and is going somewhere before they put their money into it. Although I will argue that they need to put their money in early because you need to start getting like tours to go and play quality teams. There's so many expenses involved in bringing players back for games, putting them in a hotel, food, for the paying a good coach, paying a good technical staff. Everything costs money.
Yeah, but because one of the things that I'd love to know, right, and that is so true. I mean, all the things that you're saying, I mean, they are the real stuff. But here it is that 1990, the game is there, and all of these things are happening, and people would have seen the financial benefit. Like I said, though you did not qualify, why hasn't the Caribbean, I think, in general, not just Trinidad, not just Jamaica, but the Caribbean in general, have not yet taken the sport of football as the business of sports and still see it as the sport business. So the sport part comes before the business instead of the business driving the sport. I mean, what seeing like what it has done, if you come to even the qualification of the Trinidad team and the 1998 team, why hasn't the Caribbean? I mean, America has capitalized, Europe has capitalized, Africa has capitalized, Asia has capitalized, South America has capitalized on it, and these other places are operating a business called football.
Right.
We are playing a sport hoping to get business. Why haven't we made the transition as a Caribbean people?
That's a tough question to answer. I mean, some may tell you it has something to do with the insularity, the fact that we're separated by water, all these islands. But I would argue we're able to do it with cricket and still have a common team that we all support, and we all get involved and support each island when they have different cricket games going on and stuff. But the business of football, to your point, somehow it's as though we have these little fiefdoms, these little, each little federation has these guys, and I don't want to get into politics, it's not my bag, but it's as though the eater food mentality, they feel threatened when you come to them with an idea, or you come with some type of concept that is different from what they're doing, even though they're doing the same thing for years, waiting on FIFA. Well, FIFA has a part to play, but we have a part to play too. And it's a bit of a Caribbean mentality, because sometimes if the government don't fix your road, you will come out the road with a big hole in your front yard and you wouldn't try to fix it because the government's supposed to fix it. Well, if you have to drive out there every day, sooner or later your car will start getting banged up. So you might as well fix the pothole yourself too. So we have to get up and do things for ourselves sometimes. I mean, I live in the States now how many years, and I don't like to make the comparison, but I have seen many times in little communities where people get up and do things for themselves. And this America is supposed to have all this money, but the community people here, if something not working, they will do it for themselves. And I was amazed to see that, because I always thought, well, it's America, so everybody wait on the government and they do their things. But no, from the little schools right up, you have the little parent-teacher association, and whether it is in the poorest district or the richest district, they have the little community, and they get together and they work out their situations.
Yeah, Andre, you're going to.
Yeah, I think the problem that question that you ask, it's not limited to football. I think there's a bigger problem, and I can think back as he was talking about a calypso. Fabian, you would know about this, Black Stallion, Caribbean man. Okay, and he sang about our inability to unite the people in the Caribbean. I think that's the bigger issue. I think football suffers from that inability to unite the Caribbean and us do things in a particular way. And football is just one of the examples that, because we are not all pulling in the same direction, and trying to get things to the highest level. And again, it's that belief system, right? I believe, and I'm sure Jamaica should believe that way too. I believe that Trinidad and Tobago in particular should be among the top 3-4 teams in CONCACAF. But what does it take for that to happen, right? It takes commitment, it takes belief, it takes hard work, it takes investment. There's a lot of things that need to happen there. So if we want to wait for somebody to do it for us, then it wouldn't happen. We have to do it ourselves. So it's a difficult question. It's really a difficult one to answer.
Yeah.
It's similar to me up here trying to organize support whenever Soca Warriors play in the US, right? Whenever they come up, months in advance, once we see the dates come out for when they'll be traveling, once it's within, not too far away from the state we're in, we get the logistics, and we start putting things together for ourselves. The federation doesn't help us. The Trinidad government didn't help us. We put together things ourselves for our community to go see them play. Right? We get out there and we market our bus ride, and we say, guys, ladies, we're leaving on this date. This is the cost. We're providing food. You get there, and we come back down the next day. And we get it done. And we're doing it for years.
Do you have an actual fan club like our supporters club that you operate where you do that, or is just when there's an event you come together?
When there's an event, we come together. But the fan club idea, I'm glad what you just said. I might just start heading in that direction.
Because we have Kyle. I don't know if Kyle is on the stream. He's normally, and you probably see him because he has the Reggae Boy Supporters Club, and he's in the States, and that is what they do. They try to, whenever things are going on, he does that. And I think that's a very good idea, that it could be something official, because part of his whole move now is to see as supporters sometimes how we can generate income to help with things with not the federation but with players. So we an example of that is recently we had a under-20 tournament, and there were some players who they qualified to play for Jamaica based on their parents, past parents, grandmothers and stuff, but they weren't able to afford the tickets, the tickets to fly out for the trials. So we, the Reggae Boy Supporters Club, purchased tickets for them.
Good, excellent.
So even in ways, because you never know, you might have some Trinis playing who are connected, who could come and play under 17, under 20, but can't afford the ticket. And the federation may not want to do that because they believe the money we have, we need to spend it on those who are, in Trinidad.
Well, I will tell you something that we have. We have a Soca Warriors website with some guys who are dedicated. They've been dedicated for years. I would make comments there from time to time. But that website, we do a lot of things off of that website. And I happen to know there were 2 occasions. One thing that I could tell you, there was unfortunately a time when a Soca Warriors ladies team came up here. I think it was a U17. And they got here without a lot of organization in place. And they reached out on the internet asking for help. And folks mobilized in Charlotte, I believe, or by you, Andre, in the Carolinas, and got together and got water and a bunch of different things for that team, and things worked out. So in some cases that happens. Awesome. I also remember another time with who was it, boy? The mobilization came from online and getting people together really fast and effectively to help the team that was up here. We started recently in Orlando, in Washington, D.C., because I attended the one in Washington, D.C., to do like screening showcases, as the Americans call them, where we start looking to what you're talking about. Folks who are based outside the Caribbean diaspora in the States have kids who are eligible to play, whether it be for Jamaica, Trinidad, Dominica, St. Lucia, wherever. But the Trinidad group started doing showcases for the U19s. And so instead of having to fly all the way back,
yes,
the coach came up here to showcase, looked at the players and said, okay, XYZ, I want them on the team. And they took it from there.
Awesome. All right, so let's talk about 2006 now. So go ahead, Andre.
So the imagine if we can pull all those resources together and everybody pulling in the same direction. 2006. So we got to the last round of the qualifications stage, right? I think it was Mexico, it was America, it was Panama, it was Mexico, Canada,
Costa
Panama,
Rica.
Costa Rica was involved in that too.
And I believe Honduras as well.
Honduras was there.
Right?
Yeah.
So there are 6
Honduras
teams in there. We, defeated the likes of St. Kitts and others to get there. And came fourth, I believe, in that group. But fourth because we had to play Bahrain to qualify both home and away. The first game at home tied 1-1. And then we went away and needed to win, and it's always difficult playing away from home. Could you describe for me when Dennis Lawrence scored away from home to beat Bahrain, which signaled that we qualified for the World Cup? Could you describe that emotion for me?
I certainly can, because I think there's still a mark on the floor in my living room from when I fell off the chair. Right? Because I jump up so high when he hit that ball in that goal, I fell off the chair. And the funny thing is, I remember watching Soca Warriors on TV some years before when Dennis Lawrence first made the team. And I remember a good friend of mine, Hayden Tinia, was there watching the game with me. And we see this tall, skinny guy, and Hayden was laughing at the guy. He said, "But who's this skinny man they have playing in the defense?" And fast forward years later, the skinny man scored the winning goal for us to go to the World Cup. So it was funny. But let me tell you, the euphoria at the time, my first two boys were small. They were babies. They were like 1 and 2 or something like that. And my wife, she stamped my passport. She said you could go. And I felt really bad, to be honest, but I only felt bad for a short time that I was leaving my wife home with 2 young children to go all the way to Germany, because I had 1 ticket. I had a game because, I don't know if you all have done this, but you have to go through a lottery, a whole lottery, to just be able to buy a ticket.
Yes.
And I did a lottery thing, and you have to have a master. I won't say a drama, but anyway, you do anything when you're fun. And I was able to get 1 ticket, the Trinidad against Sweden game. So I had 1 ticket to go. And I wouldn't go into all the details, but God is good. I ended up with the 3 tickets for the 3 games by the time I was in Germany. And
you're from Trinidad, right?
Huh?
You're from Trinidad, right?
We had to find a way. I just say, what tricky that is?
Yeah.
I think I lost you all for a second there. Am I still on?
No, you're back.
Yeah, you're still on. You're still on. We're hearing you.
Okay.
We're hearing and seeing you.
Okay, I don't know what happened there with my feed, but anyways, what I ended up doing is I ended up going, and it was a very good experience. I stayed with a German family, right?
Yes, we're hearing you.
And what they did was their son was in college or something, so I got his room, and they provided linens and everything. I even had dinner with them a few nights. They invited me to have dinner with them. They were very welcome. They picked me up at the airport when I landed in Frankfurt. And I found them online.
You didn't go with an entourage like other Trinis. You went alone?
I went alone. I was going alone because
we just lost him.
You just lost him.
He was struggling with his internet, he was saying.
Oh.
But where he is at the moment in terms of going, when I remember the qualification myself, and he negotiated to go by himself, I had to take the whole family. I'm not so sure I had a choice.
So you took your family to Germany?
I took the whole family. All 4 of us went, and I'm sure he's gonna share his experience, but it was a great experience. It was an unbelievable experience. In terms of
what was it like for you, though, the moment you realized that Trinidad? What was it like for you the moment you realized? The moment
I knew I was going to Germany, I had to go. It was a proud moment. It was a proud moment. You know that you just achieved something that very few countries, especially our size, are able to achieve, much less win it, right? To date, only about 7 or 8 countries in the world that has won. It's a very difficult tournament to win. But to be there, to have your country there, it was just a proud moment. It was just a proud moment. It was an unbelievable moment to realize, wait, we're gonna see at the highest level of football, the players that we know, the Dwight Yorks, the Stephen John, Wasalatupi, see them on the world stage playing football at the highest level possible. That was just, it's hard to describe it, to be honest with you. As a fan, someone who played the game and as a fan of the game and following Trinidad and Tobago football, I just knew I couldn't miss it.
Was there a public holiday in Trinidad when you qualified? Because in Jamaica there was a public. The Prime Minister had announced after the qualification that there was going to be a public holiday because the celebration. I don't know what it was like in Trinidad and Tobago, but it was massive celebration. It's like nobody could go to work the next day.
Well,
that's how it was.
For me, I was living in the US already, so I wasn't in Trinidad. I want to believe that there was some type of a holiday. I'm not so sure. Fabian could probably, Nigel could speak to that when he comes back, but I was here already, and I just knew I couldn't miss it. And you get to Germany, and of course, when you go to the games, it's a whole day event, and I saw people in Germany that I haven't seen for years, for a long time. Everybody was. You just ask Nigel if he went by himself. He was probably only by himself on the flight. Because once you arrive, you're gonna, before the game and travel to the game, it's a whole day event. You travel on the train, and you run into just a whole lot of people. There's a lot of pictures with people from that you just haven't seen for years. People you played football with as kids growing up. And as you move through the streets, the reception that you get from the German people, from people on the whole. I remember going to the first game, and there were people on the train with us who had Trinidad shirt under the Sweden shirt. That was unbelievable, right? Because they knew some of the players, so they were supporting their country, but they also, and it felt like people wanted us to be well, successful, wanted it to be a good experience, and it was the first game. And Fabian, I'm gonna let you back in right now. The first game with against Sweden, we tied that game 0-0. It's hard to describe, and we played that game with 10 men, right?
Yep.
That game with 10 men, and something that happened in the game, and it's an argument. We had a coach. He was a tactician. He was good. And we went down to 10 men, and I saw him. We all think we are coaches, and we know best. And he made a sub. We went down to 10 men, and most coaches would bring on a defender. They'll take off an attacking player. And I remember him bringing on an attacking player. And that almost made the game look like it was 11v11 because the qualities of the player that he brought on, right? He was quick. Sweden had to be careful. They had to make sure that they don't leave themselves exposed on the back, right? And
was it Cornell Glenn?
It was Cornell Glenn he brought on, yes. He brought on Cornell. But the whole experience in the stadium and trying to sit where you want to sit, not where your ticket said. You just feel like, it was just a beautiful.
Only Caribbean people do that, We don't take team assignments.
Yeah, I don't know if I do that today, but
Well, another memory I have that wasn't so pleasant, though. Not that it was bad, but it was a little concerning. Was for the England game, because after tying with Sweden, we realized that we're not just showing up here. We could probably upset England, and the thought started to cross our mind that our supporters we were such a small group compared to the English fans, because there's so many of them.
And they are hooligans. Right. They have a group that's
they are notorious. You know that, right? How they behave. Yes. So we were quietly concerned that what if we actually beat England, or worse? Right. What happens when it's done, because they will go crazy.
Right.
And guess what? 80 minutes into the game, 8-0, the score is 0-0. So I was starting to cold sweat. I want us to win, but I'm worried about what could happen.
So I remember that moment almost like it was yesterday. I was watching the game. I was in the stadium watching the game, and I realized that the game is still 0-0. And you feel a sense of pride because it looked like we're going to get a point out of this game as well, right? And you start feeling good about it. But in the same moment, you start seeing something developing on the right side of the field that suggests that, right? we could concede, and it did happen, right?
Yeah.
Although it happened illegally, but it did happen with Peter Crouch pulling Santos here by his hair so that he could get up and get the header. But it
Yes,
all
that
of
is
those
true.
emotions.
Right. It was Sancho's here that he pulled. He had a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all of those
There was no
emotions were
VAR. There
happening
was
at the
no
same
VAR.
time.
You know,
Yeah.
the next day, I don't know if you remember, Andre. I'm not sure if I get the name right. I think it's called the Blind, which is like the big German newspaper.
Yeah.
The headline the next day
Mhm.
was "Cheat"
Yeah.
in German, and there was a picture of Crouch pulling on Sancho's dreads. The German said they cheated to get a goal.
We should have kept that.
Yeah, that was the headline the following day in the newspaper.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the experience, the travel to the game, being at the game.
So when I lost technical connections just now, did you all talk about some of the smaller economic aspects of going to the World Cup? Because I'll bring up some ideas here that happened.
No, I was just trying to fill the void until you come back.
Because we were also asking, because when Jamaica qualified in 1998, like nobody could go to work. No, the strange thing is that Jamaica, we have won gold medals at the Olympics, but the qualification of the national team,
that's different level,
had a bigger reach across Jamaica than some of the medal we have won.
Wow.
Right? Maybe Usain Bolt kind of changed some of that, but in 1998, the Merlin Otis accomplishment and the Veronica Campbell Brown, all of those things were good, but there's a public holiday in Jamaica. So I was trying to find out if Trinidad had anything like that, because people could not go to work. It was like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, are we still dreaming? Is this really? Did we actually qualify? All right. Will FIFA change or something? Is something going to go wrong? So the next day was a public holiday, and I was trying to find out what happened in Trinidad in the space at the time when the team qualified.
So I had actually gone down a couple months before they actually qualified, because when initially they were not doing so well. That team wasn't doing so well initially. In fact, I remember they conceded 5 goals to Guatemala on the road, right? So that team wasn't doing too good initially. But being a fan, wanting them to do good, thinking that Latipi was coming back, I was hoping and praying for that. And one of the things,
he was one of the late addition. I think he's Brazilian, but he's a Trini white.
Oh, he was from
England.
From England. What was his name again?
Chris Burchell.
Chris Burchell. But I had gone down and worked with my brother, and I did a song which was like a pep song. Actually, it was called "Time for Germany" to pep up the team. And at the time when I released that song, there were no other songs because people weren't even thinking this team was going anywhere.
Right.
And then lo and behold, slowly the team started to turn around. They brought in Ben Hacker, and next thing you know, we had a chance to go. And songs just start hitting the airways. Everybody, all the top soca artists start producing songs now. And the euphoria that was starting to pick up 2 months before, I could not believe what I was seeing. Now, my feet were not on the ground in Trinidad when they actually qualified. I was in Atlanta. So I can't speak to that, how it was at home, except for when I spoke to my brothers, because I'm from a big family. I'm one of 11. So my family back home were telling me, look, people not even wanting to go to school, people all in the streets, the cars just going up and down, it's Trinidad flags everywhere. People went crazy.
Yeah. And you guys are in football places in the States. How did it how did the Trinidad population in the United States then react to this?
They were excited. Everybody was talking about, as I told you, my little crew in Atlanta, my immediate crew disappointed me a little bit because there were about 8 of us say we were going, only 2 made it. However, people I know from Brooklyn, New York, a lot of people from Brooklyn came. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story about this one guy. He came with this big duffel bag with Trinidad mementos, with flags and little bracelets and anything Trinidad and Tobago, he had it. And I remember before the Sweden game, he lugger in this big bag. And I said, "But where you going with all of that?" And he said, "Well, I come to sell, I come to hustle." And I said, "Well, at that first, we hadn't played Sweden as yet. And I hadn't even seen in Germany, I looking all in the Adidas stores, you're not even seeing the Trini shirt.
Right.
Oh.
There was not even a Trini shirt out there. Let me tell you, after the Sweden game, all of that changed. And my boy had to leave and fly back to Brooklyn. He buy a ticket and come back with 2 duffel bags a week later and sell it out.
Whoa.
So these little artisans and these guys who do a hustle and stuff, that again, the football economy we talk about. And that imagine he's up in Brooklyn doing that, selling it at the World Cup. All right? And going to hotel and stuff. And just in the streets in Frankfurt, he was selling.
I think have we lost that? I don't know if it is passion, that zeal, that is it the players, is it the fan? Because like in Jamaica, since 1998, we have had so many field campaigns. Should that, as we think about 2026, right? How can this be restored in the fan base? How can the fan base get back to this place where we don't wait until the back end to start these things, but we kind of build the momentum behind the teams from the beginning, build it behind the Jamaican team, the Trinidad and Tobago team, because it is, again, I can go back to 1998 and 1990. I know 2006, but the kind of loyal support from the fan base that would fill our national stadium and just be there, and they knew the footballers and all of that. What needs to happen as we prepare for 2026 when the World Cup is at our doorsteps? We are going to be watching it. Most of us are probably going to be in the stadium. We don't want to be in the stadium and we don't see a Caribbean nation represented.
So my take on that is simple. And again, I can only express my life experience. You can only express yours. That's how life is. And from having lived both in the Caribbean and lived abroad, one thing that has really impressed me living abroad is that really successful programs, whether it be in baseball, whether it be in basketball, soccer, you name it, as they call it up here, they are successful because of one thing. They are consistently planning ahead for the future. As soon as they win a championship, literally the day after they make their victory parade that night, they are putting things in place for the year ahead. There's no time to waste. They want to keep this momentum going. And they start pulling together the right stakeholders, putting together budgets, sponsors, everything. And there's a saying here from baseball, build it and they will come. You talk about getting the fans back to how it was before. Well, if you put a good product on that field, they will come out and support it. But where does it begin? It begins by having the right leadership, making that commitment, starting to plan. To your point, Manning Man and Andre, both of you made a point earlier. That commitment has to start early. You can't wait and see. It's as though some want to stay on the sideline and wait to see if it's a good team or not, then to jump in. That can't work. You have to start from the beginning. We're talking about 2026. Look at where we are. We're already late. That should have been, that from the time you didn't qualify, you should already have had a plan starting with the next youth, how old they would be at this age, so that they can be able to contribute in 2026 campaign. And we have an opportunity there because think about it. Canada, Mexico, USA are the hosts. So they are automatically qualifying, as we know. So they are not going to be the normal big guns to get over.
And 3 other teams get to go.
Exactly. So Caribbean leadership, if you're listening tonight, I just want to put out there, this little fan who I am, that we need to take advantage because there's a socio-economic empowerment to your administrations that could come out of getting a senior team to a World Cup that you can't get from anything else.
Yeah.
And I think that you asked where it started and you mentioned the administration. So we have an under 17 qualifiers coming up. And that's the first opportunity the world get to see what is happening in the country in terms of player development. Trinidad is in a group where, if we take Trinidad, for example, with America, with Canada, I believe, and Barbados. Well, when Trinidad play America, the world will be watching, because a lot of talent from America is being scouted in different parts of the world. People are watching, so they're going to get a chance to see, well, is there anything there? These players are going to get an experience that should be able to help them. So under 17, under 20, under 23, all of those programs are important when you talk about having a viable national team. And look, a successful national team, senior team, could fund the entire pyramid of football.
Yep.
In a place like any one of the islands in the Caribbean, because it happens in other parts of the world. And that's why it's important, in my opinion, to have a successful national team, to invest in your national team and make sure that you're functioning at the highest level possible.
I just think like this is, like I said, the socio-economic benefits of qualifying. Just the campaign and then qualifying. And when you think about it, the fact that it will be in CONCACAF, it's harder for hundreds of thousands of Caribbean nationals to benefit when the World Cup, directly when the World Cup is in Germany, it's in Qatar, it's in Japan, it's in CONCACAF. It's a whole lot more Caribbean nationals can benefit because it's going to be in CONCACAF.
Yep.
Imagine if Trinidad qualifies. Your friend don't need to sell 2 duffel bags. He has to build a store.
Exactly.
Because the demand increases automatically because it's in CONCACAF. Same thing with Jamaica. And I think like our governments, and this is where we have been trying to get to. We have been talking about the long-term plan and talking about football administrators, but we don't want to get political. But truthfully, I don't know that governments in the Caribbean, especially ministers of sports, because most of these Caribbean parliaments, they have a person designated in government over the area of sports.
Right.
I am not the person in charge of the economy and development. I am not sure that they have yet made a connection that 2026, there is going to be a World Cup.
Yeah.
And we can leverage this to increase. I don't know if governments have seen it.
And that's why we're having the conversation, right? But the attempt is to spell that out. But I'm going to tell you this. We have way more opportunities than we'd normally have, right? We have an additional 3 spots, as we discussed in our last conversation, in our last video. And plus there's another 2 spots that you could get 1 or 2 from, just like we did when we played Bahrain, okay? But I'd also say that, okay, if there's 3 slots, I would expect Jamaica to have 1 of those. They should have been at this World Cup, but, I'd expect Jamaica to have 1 of those. But there's something happening in Dominican Republic that suggests that they may challenge for 1. They just qualified for the Under-20 World Cup.
Yeah.
One would expect that they would qualify for the Under-17 coming up. Okay? And if those 2 things are happening, then they would be contenders for 1 of those spots. So
and they hosted, they hosted a couple of the tournaments. I think almost all the age groups tournaments under 17 were hosted by Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
right.
during the COVID time, you're right. During COVID, they did it, yeah.
And they've also brought in some people from outside. So they're heading, based on my observation, they're heading in the right direction. Okay? So now we're talking about who's gonna get those spots, and I gotta tell you, whoever from the Caribbean gets it, I'm sure we're all gonna support them. But man, I sure you'd prefer Jamaica be there, just like I'd prefer, and Niger would prefer Trinidad as well, right? So
Right.
the hope is that people could connect, that there's a real opportunity ahead for all, because we're just talking about the socioeconomic value to the fans. There's also one to the players as well. Guys who have committed themselves to playing football as a career, and playing in the World Cup brings about a tremendous financial benefit that sometimes get lost in the picture. Okay, when you qualify for a World Cup, for some countries here in CONCACAF, you could immediately, just for qualifying, $200,000 in your pocket, right? Because some of the contracts are situated like that. So the entire picture needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
The entire picture needs to be looked at.
And you know, this same 2026, what we're talking about, although people are thinking about it's going to be in Mexico, it's going to be in the US, it's going to be in Canada. Think about this. The qualifiers, each team is home and away. So the local economies stand to benefit every time there's World Cup qualifiers, because when these teams come, they have to use buses, their taxis for their fans, hotel rooms. There's a whole football economy generated every time there are World Cup qualifiers, even if your team don't go to the World Cup.
Yeah, there's so many things, because when you even consider the fact that after the 1994 World Cup in the United States, the 1994 it was in the USA. The league, they qualified in 90 in Italy. 94 they hosted the World Cup, right? Was it 94?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yes, 94.
94. Yeah. The MLS and everything went to a higher level.
Just took off.
The whole evolution of football over there. So imagine what this will do to Canada.
Yes.
And how much more football in the United States will progress. So that's an opening door. That's like opening doors for players to move and play in leagues, and quality of the league in CONCACAF itself improving. But I think, like we have been saying, Andre, that there has to be this collective approach from CARICOM, from governments, because it is not just about the football anymore. Canada is right there. Governments from the nations can already be setting up things, looking to set up places to sell merchandise, believing that their teams are going to qualify, which means that we're already pumping some money in this football, because we know that we can even benefit from some of the tourists who would want to stay in the States. We can find a way of saying, why don't you come play a friendly in Jamaica, play your tournament in Jamaica, and go back to the United States. Play in Trinidad. We have enough fields. We have the hotels. We have these things. 2026 is coming up. I don't think that there is that approach. The United States started this years ago by building stadiums. Mm-hmm. Before they bid, and I always tell people this, before they start their bidding process, they start building stadiums.
Build it and they will come.
Yep. There you go.
Yep.
And that's where I think, as a Caribbean, I hope the heads of government, they hear these things, because it's not just the football administrators. It is the government that must play their part. In the same way,
there's no need to build more stadia in the Caribbean. We have more than enough. What we need to do is maintain the ones we have and upgrade them if needed. Yeah. But that tells you, even that, again, that's a spin-off of the football economy. Somebody has to get a contract to paint it, to do the plumbing in the bathrooms, to make sure they're working, all of that. Again, the economy of football. There's always money moving around, and people have to understand how this thing works. You know, we have a taboo in the Caribbean where money is concerned. I don't know if it's because of how we are brought up, but you always feel somebody taking the money and somebody doing this with the money, and I not in it for the money. And let me tell you something. I was listening to a different podcast the other day, and I heard a Jewish guy talking about some of the things that the Jewish community do where money is concerned. right?
Be careful before you get man
we
kicked off the air now. Be
No,
careful.
we're not getting kicked off the air. It's one of the positives. And what they were saying is,
We don't want to lose our sponsor now.
what they
Be
were
careful,
saying
my
is,
friend.
with what the Jewish community do with money is that they look at it as this. It's not a taboo, because the same money that they work extra hard for and they get their hands into other things and stuff in terms of getting more business, they give back to charity and they have their own community. So it's not a taboo to work harder for money or to get more money, because they're using it to help their own community. We have a bad stigma, a taboo or something, I don't know what it is, home, where we think as though money is such a bad thing. We talk about the root of all evil. But if you're not using the money to help your community, I could see it being an evil. All right? But as I said at the start of this program, you need a budget. Maybe it's the 23 plus odd years of me in banking in the US, but for always cry foul about the money this, the money that, is the same money I need to eat a food?
Well, one thing we know, Andre, from our interviews, that the persons we have spoken to, we haven't spoken to anyone who we know has a plan, a detailed, a strategic plan.
Yeah.
We haven't, and we have been.
No.
We haven't met anyone yet from the Caribbean involved in football who has unequivocally stated that they have a strategic plan for 2026.
And
wow, that's profound. That nobody. And I presume from what I've heard, you guys have been talking to people in leadership roles.
Yes.
Wow, that's scary.
And if anybody have one, I'm sure it's probably a secret, right? And
right.
It shouldn't be.
Maybe they have it and they don't want. They don't want to say that they have it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a secret. Look, I spoke to a few people in preparation for this, and one of the things that I keep hearing is that the fan base, and some people talk for themselves, some people talk maybe they represent a group. The fan base has lost hope, it seems. That's what I'm hearing. And people are not excited to get involved and do anything. And I think that's the thing that needs to be rectified. And I'm not so sure. I am sure that we can do it, but the football could do it. You have to have a good product, as you mentioned just now. You got to put a team in the field that could compete, get results.
But for the fans, I'm sorry to interject, but I must say this. Some of us as Caribbean nationals, we have to be loyal to our home country. I don't have a problem with you saying you support Brazil, right, but I'm going to buy a Jamaican shirt before I buy the Brazil shirt. There are fans, Jamaican-born people, who went to the Jamaica versus Argentina game and they wore an Argentina shirt.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a fan problem.
Yeah.
I agree with that. The football needs to be good. Right. But here's what I know. An Argentina fan ain't putting on a Jamaica jersey when they play in Jamaica.
100% correct about that.
A Brazilian fan ain't going to buy no Jamaican jersey.
Yeah.
So
got that right.
So we as fans must be as loyal to our nation as some of the big nations are.
Yeah.
Because they're their team.
Yes. That's
preach
a good point.
Preach it.
That's a very good point. We need to support, but there's two sides of that, right? They need to give us something to support to. So for example, you have a game this month. You're going to play Cameroon, but it's in Africa, right? It's not here. Some of the islands have games, a lot don't. A lot of them don't. I know St. Lucia have a couple of games.
Yeah, St. Lucia has a games,
Right.
Trinidad have any games?
I don't think so.
No, I have not heard of any games. Dominican Republic, I think they're under 20 playing Colombia. I'm aware of. So it's very, very difficult from both sides, right? I see your point, and your point is absolutely valid. I have Trinidad shirts, and I'd wear Trinidad shirts, right? But sometimes I struggle. Is it Bowl or is it Joma? I'm not so sure which one it is sometimes. But that's where we are at the moment. We just need to start with a plan. We need to streamline things and make sure that people know exactly what's going on. We need to get fans back in the stadium. I remember growing up in Trinidad, and the schoolboy football used to have thousands of people.
Yeah.
Thousands of people. Football was never short of fans, and today it seems to be. But I do know from my experience in Germany, going to the Sweden game, the England game, the Paraguay game, I do know that there's still a lot of people out there with a love for football, because we all watch it every weekend.
Oh yeah.
Right? We all watch it every weekend. We watch it during the week. We watch Champions League. We watch a lot, and I watch more football probably than probably most people do. But we just need to get our product right so that we can get the support back from the people, because it broke my heart to hear so many people saying that they don't have any hope.
Listen, I remember, some of the things that I don't know, and that's why I said that's why the Caribbean community, there are some things we have to do. I know FIFA has all their windows on what happens, but we have to find a way. I remember we used to play the Caribbean Cup.
Yes, the Shell Cup, right?
The Shell Cup. And I mean, these battles between Trinidad and Jamaica were like, they made football exciting. Remember Dwight York? They had the all Trinidad Tobago school team that came out here and played against the Jamaica team in those games. And I think those things built up a rivalry. So even when there weren't any World Cup qualifying, all of these games between Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, especially in the Shell Cup, it was building this sort of momentum and keeping the fan bases active. We don't get the football until there's a FIFA window. And we keep hearing that our nations can't afford to bring the nations here to play. So most of their games are played away, except when there's Nations League and World Cup qualifiers. And so that is far and in between. We have to find a way of even using local-based squads to play tournaments.
Yeah, I agree.
Get fans involved. So I can't find, I'm yet to understand why the top players in the Trinidad and Tobago League and the top players in the Jamaican League and in the Bayesian League and the Guyanese League,
wherever there's a league,
local base national team and play a tournament.
Yeah. But again, very good idea. It goes back to something is needed for that. What is that something?
It's a plan.
Well, money. And Shelly's not around.
Where you can raise money.
Yeah, and that goes back to the point you all were making about the stakeholders. The stakeholders are not just the players and the communities, and the government. The stakeholders are also private enterprise, right? And these private enterprise, because they all benefit, if your team goes all the way and qualifies for a World Cup, you'll see all these private companies jumping on board and trying to get advertisement and marketing off of that team. So they still benefit. So they need to get involved from early. But it comes down to giving them a good plan and showing them that you have a product. Because if look, in banking up here, you could come to me and say, look, you know what? I need a loan for how much ever million because I'm going to buy another plant or whatever. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, okay, in how many years are you going to repay this? And show me a business plan showing me how you're going to repay this loan.
And that's a reality.
That's a reality. Because we are asking private enterprise to get involved and help and do this because it's your national team and all of that. But they're saying, okay, where's this money? Where's the accountability? I give this to the federation. Who's to say that this guy didn't spend it on the team and he spent it on something else?
Yeah.
Look, for the football, we could do one even better. We have to involve all of these stakeholders in the development of the plan. If we involve them, then there's buy-in.
Because they feel a sense of belonging.
They feel a sense of belonging. They were part. They know the direction of travel. Right. So we don't have to go to them every 2 minutes and ask for money. They know they're invested in it. And that's everybody. All the stakeholders, you call it private, the government agencies, if you want research.
And I'm very sure that their FIFA grant do. Maybe that's what we need to check out, Andre. What sort of fee? Because what we keep hearing as well from the federation is that there is money available in FIFA. It's like, you have these major organizations and they have what they call drawdowns. All you have to do is know when it's a call. The call they normally says when is the opening period for you to put in your proposal. Once it is accepted, you get the money. When I hear from the persons in charge of the different federations, the idea is that FIFA has monies available to help with football development. All you have to do is to write the proposal and you can pull on that.
Right.
So the possibility exists that there could already be money within FIFA to help with some of these stuff, which would make it easier for stakeholders to come in.
Right.
And like Andre said, listen, we want you to be a part of this. We already have $100 from FIFA. The thing is $150, right?
So you just have to fill the 50?
And FIFA don't need back any money. They just need to know that the project is completed. Whatever profit comes out of that, you could end up getting more than your 50.
Yeah.
That's an easier buy-in. But I don't know that the Caribbean is thinking that way. I think we have become more territorial than CARICOM.
Right.
I read somewhere, I was hoping I could find it, that, and I think it was tied to the FIFA Forward program that I heard a couple of people mention on one of your shows before, that you need to have a strategic plan to access that money. I read that somewhere.
Makes sense.
So I'm not so sure. I wish I could find it. No, but I can't.
Here's the next problem here. Someone saying that the France 1998 money was not put back in Jamaica's football. Because remember, when you qualify for the World Cup, you get money.
Yep.
Lots of money.
None of that money was given back. Up to today, Jamaicans are still wondering what happened to the money we got from the World Cup.
Well,
Yeah, and
that raises a good point, guys.
Yeah.
Think about this. I'm going to tell you about a common thread here, which is not a good common thread. Usually, you would think when a country qualifies for a World Cup, that would set off like a catalyst. We made the point earlier that the US went on to host the next World Cup, and from there the history, they've just been unstoppable now. What happened to Jamaica after '98? I don't think it had the same takeoff, or Trinidad and Tobago.
I'm going to give you a good example. The two teams in Jamaica's zone. Croatia went on to be the finalists in the last World Cup.
Wow.
Japan has not missed a World Cup since 1998.
And Jamaica beat Japan when Jamaica was there.
There you go.
Let me ask you a question, man. I know you're the host.
No, we are
but
the host.
Are you aware? I was having a discussion with someone, and they were sharing with me that after Jamaica qualified for the 1998 World Cup, that a game was played against a Caribbean select team at the Giant Stadium.
Yes.
And it sold out.
Yes. Remember, we had many problems after qualification with even the players to get their monies. I'm telling you, there was lots of problems. And remember, we had groundbreaking, and all we heard was the ground was broken and nothing was built. That is what Nigel was saying earlier. Where is the accountability?
Yeah, because I'm telling you, if I was in the position, as much as I love TNT football, if I was blessed enough to be in the position to be able to be a big financial contributor, I wasn't just going to give money. A lot of people think, you're rich, so you should just give. No, a lot of these people work very hard for the money they have. And they're willing to support, but you have to show a plan. You have to show some type of accountability for what you're going to do with this money I'm giving you. It's simple.
Listen, so nothing, when I say absolutely nothing, our local Premier League didn't get better. There is not one stadium that was built, refurbished, or anything. Remember, we also qualified during that time for 2 under-20 World Cups, 1 under-17 World Cup. Nothing. Not one stadium was built The only stadium that plays football that was built by the government.
Yeah.
And well, it was for Cricket World Cup, the Trelawney multi-purpose stadium that we don't even use. Nothing. So absolutely nothing. The Captain Horace Burrell Center that was recently constructed was a FIFA grant recently that did that. So there's absolutely there was not a house that was purchased for players to live, like nothing. So you're wondering, like, what happened to the monies that
The
came
profits,
in?
right? The profits
Yes.
from, yeah.
Remember that there are many deals that were signed, and all of these, I mean, so many things happened. Merchandising and jersey stuff and all of these things. Jamaica was like a hit at the World Cup because of the music and the culture.
So how does the fan, the person that loves the game, that have this understanding of the state of things,
This is
how
what
do
this is
you
what
get them?
this but this is what we are saying. These are some of the things why many people are hesitant
Yeah.
with, because though it is different person, it is still called the Jamaica Football Federation. And so many times what happens is that people don't change the trust because the people have changed, because the organization is still the same. And until the organization itself can by action present a completely different picture, people are not going to trust. And it involves changing out some of the people, but it goes beyond that. And I think it's probably what Trinidad needs to go through a phase where the whole Trinidad FA paints a completely new image. It's like it has to be a rebirth. Like, and people say, no, this is not the 2006 group. This is a completely new thing. Look what they have done. Look what they have done. Look, and people see accountability, transparency, and integrity. And
Right.
if you have that, the fans will come on board. The stakeholders will come on board.
Yep.
Almost every one of these bodies in the Caribbean, the ones who don't have it are the ones who are doing well. Dominica Republic,
Yeah.
Suriname,
Yeah.
they are doing better. Curacao,
Yeah. Good,
you check them.
good inclusion.
All the ones that you hear that have some sort of, whether perceived or actual corruption, they are not doing well because nobody trusts them.
You see, honesty and integrity has become something that is just words. People need to start understanding that they're so important for successful business. People always associate a successful business with corruption, and they're doing this, as I was saying again, with the money and the taboo that we grew up thinking. But what we don't realize, people have to understand.
Out of it, please.
Yeah, a lot of folks don't understand that the business, a lot of the businesses that are successful, it's not corruption, it's not bubble, it's not bringing in drugs. A lot of them are successful because they work hard and they are very honest. Not everybody is in corruption and bacchanal. A lot of people are hardworking people, and they've earned what they've gotten over years and years of dedication and generations of hard work. That is the
and
fact.
they're willing, and some of them seem to be willing to share some of what they earn to support a cause, to support.
Yeah, they give back. They give back.
Yes, there are people who love.
They just need to make sure to know that the money is going to go in the right.
Yeah, and that's what has happened. Some of that has shrunk over the years. It has dried up because think about it. If we go real far back in Trinidad, for example, I remember when Carey Brewery used to sponsor things, Coca-Cola used to sponsor Intercol. I mean, the amount of things, if you think about all the oil companies coming in Trinidad to take the oil away, Amoco, all of these big American firms, whoever, Shell, Exxon, you can't tell me you couldn't sit down with these people and say, okay, you're taking all this oil away and you're paying a tax to the government, yes, but we also want you to sponsor this.
Yeah.
Because that ain't nothing compared to the money you're making with the oil when you take it abroad.
So we're saying that has to go away for us to have that feeling. We have experienced the 70s far away from, but we have experienced 89 and we have experienced 2006. And and I would think that people would prefer the experience in 2006. Jamaica's experience 98. Jamaica, this last World Cup here, I would like to think, the people should have been very disappointed, right? Because I think by all accounts,
I think disappointed is an understatement. I think the people are mad.
by all accounts, Jamaica should have qualified for this World Cup.
That Jamaican team was stacked, man. I thought they were going to do it. I really thought
But it comes back down to it, what? If the administration
Yeah.
and forward planning. Everyone knew that we were in a pandemic. We, with all the hiccups and stuff, because whenever you plan, you have plan A, plan B, plan C. But if you start with no plans and then you have hiccup, you're in trouble.
Nothing to fall back on.
Nothing to fall back on. And that, I think, led to it. But you know what is happening? If we, I don't know, because we did say we go, I don't know how these conversations are going to go. Because
well, guys, I want to show you all something quick before we go. I'm going to show you all my 3 ticket stubs I kept from the World Cup 2006.
Whoa. Go ahead.
Yes. I have mine somewhere.
You have them in a scrapbook. Awesome.
I have mine somewhere. I didn't put mine in a book.
Yeah, I have mine in a picture in an album. What we could use to call them album, where you pick your photos and things. I kept mine.
I might have it in there, but my wife would be the one to take care of that. But I did and management, I don't know how to show it from the back, but I did have this is a picture.
So next time, right? So next time you're gonna have to WhatsApp the picture to me and we share it on the screen.
All right. We're gonna do that.
You know, we have to get into the technology now. That's the old-fashioned way you put it up, your phone up there to show it. You know, we have to use up the technology. But Nigel, listen, we have to do this. We have to do this again, because what we want to do, because we're just doing this, and the persons who are not watching it live, because the people on the live, they want us to go on all night. But the person who don't watch the live and it's not as interactive, when it goes past a certain time, they think it's too long.
They think it's too long, yeah.
Yeah, because they have to listen back to it by themselves.
Right.
So we try to keep it within a certain time, but we'd love for you to. I think somebody is that you, Andre. I think that's you.
What's that?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think I have to mute you because there's some funny sound in the background. Let's see if it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone now.
It's gone now. Right.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Right. So we are going to. We'd love to have you again. I don't know how, Andre, when next we can because Carey, who is a Jamaican fan who was at all the games that Jamaica played, he should have been here, but he had to fly, didn't get on. So we'd love to have and continue the conversation if and when you're available, Andre.
I am definitely available. Let me know. Andre can contact me. You can contact me. You have my email now. I just want to say again, thanks for having me. Humbled. I'm humbled that I was invited and included on this podcast. This is something near and dear to my heart. I'm a true Trinidad and Tobago fan and Caribbean fan of football in the region. And you all are doing a great job here. I just want to tell you all, keep up the good work. Don't stop. Don't get discouraged. Keep pushing and keep flying the Caribbean flag, Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, wherever you're from. Thanks for having me on tonight.
I really appreciate you coming on and for the wealth of wisdom, the history. I learned some things tonight. I didn't know about the 1970, Haiti situation. I did not know that. And so I learned something today. But just to hear how you just the passion, for your nation and going to Germany by yourself. I'm telling you that shows how much you love. you really love Trinidad, because I don't think you went there saying
say what you want to say, Mannings, man.
Yeah.
Remember, he left his family behind now.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a brave man, a 1-year-old
Yeah.
and a 2-year-old. I mean, he's a brave man. Yeah, I mean.
Let me say before we go, I came across something, and this is how much I think this tells you how excited people could get. Somebody local to Trinidad at the time that the team qualified for the 2006 World Cup said, quote, TNT would light up Germany like no other country ever has or ever will. We shall make FIFA and this nation proud. Right? That at that moment, that's all excitement. That's all that is, right? And in the end, I read where somebody said it would have been a fine achievement it is a fine achievement to be there. If Soca Warriors could emulate Jamaica 1998 effort and win one of their games, the country will go into meltdown. You see the extreme of the two statements, right? And one is
Happy to be
essentially a
there.
verdict. Yeah, one is more realistic, and the other one was we were floating in the cloud. And I could tell you all who said the first one, but I'll keep that.
Yeah, but it was such a joy. Somebody just reminded us that in 1998, Croatia actually came third in the World Cup.
Look at that.
Coming out of that Jamaica zone. But it is, and I'm telling you, but we're going to pick up on this because Japan, like I said, they have not failed to qualify for a World Cup since 1998. In that group, Japan was qualifying for the first time and Jamaica qualified for the first time.
Right.
I think Croatia, as a separate nation, qualified for the first time.
I think you're right. Right. And just imagine Japan just beat the US in a friendly.
Outplay them.
Yeah, and they outplayed them. Good point. They totally outplayed them.
If you all been watching Japanese football on both the men and the women's side, they've come a long way. They just played Spain at both age groups, U20 on the women's side and on the 17 in the final of the World Cup. They're playing really good football on both sides. The development is just it's amazing what they have been able to do with their football. To watch them is exciting. It's exciting to watch.
Right. So Jamaica qualified for 1 under-20 and 2 under-17s during that whole period. So all I'm saying is that we had a good base to build from.
Yeah.
Because after qualifying for the Senior World Cup, you had under-20 teams and under-17. So it wasn't for the lack of players.
So you had a pipeline.
That we failed.
Yeah. Look, I said to Nigel earlier today that sometimes it seems as though we love our country in February. We all know what happens in February or March.
Carnival.
Right, and in December. We gotta love our country every day of the year. And we've got to work and do things that would benefit the country. And obviously, everybody needs to be rewarded for their effort. Whatever your effort is worth, right? If people are putting in the right effort, there should be a reward for that. There should be reward for outcome. So we just need to figure out how the Caribbean, because we mentioned Dominican Republic, you mentioned
Curacao and Suriname,
and you mentioned Suriname. Okay, it's becoming challenging. It might be more challenging than we think when you think about it.
I tell people, listen, this have nothing to do with money.
Yeah,
it's not money alone.
Yeah.
Our poor administration, because Haiti.
Ambition.
What about Haiti?
Yeah, we didn't mention Haiti.
I mean, look, Haiti still challenges Jamaica and Trinidad. Look at the under-20 women.
Yep.
The women qualifiers, they're under-17 team, they're under-20 team, they're club teams.
Haiti have guys playing Champions League football.
Remember, Haiti, and this is not me. I don't know the numbers or anything, but Haiti does get, because of their economic circumstances, they get help from FIFA specifically. But the question comes back again: how organized is the federation in FIFA in Haiti? Because I also know that sometimes Haiti, a lot of the teams basically camp out in Miami.
In Miami, yeah.
Yeah. So that tells you maybe to stay in Miami, there must be a lot of cost involved with that. So it must be something really well organized, and we got to give credit to whoever is behind the federation in Haiti to do those things.
Look, people are finding a way. Liberia, just some relationship they developed with one of the countries in the Middle East. About $20 million poured into the football. They just had a very talented youth team that unfortunately got kicked out of the under-17 because they had somebody that there was some mix up with the age situation under-17. But people are finding a way so that their football could progress. And the Caribbean need to get together and try to find a way that the Caribbean football could progress. And I think it's that simple.
Can I leave one idea with you guys that I've been, as they say, stewing on for some time? We have in the different islands different events. Jamaica has a carnival now. They have the Sun Splash. Trinidad had the carnival for years. All the little islands have their own carnival and stuff. I don't think we leverage that with sports enough, because sports can benefit from these events. Because when you bring all these people to that event, we could start marketing and understanding and timing tournaments. We talked about that Caribbean Shell Cup we used to have. Could you imagine if you have a tournament around the time when there's Sun Splash, or around the time when there's Carnival, when you already have a big captive audience coming to your island? Think about the amount of people will go through that turnstile at the stadium to come and see a game, if it's well marketed and tied in with these big events. Just a thought.
Yeah, brilliant idea. So Fortune, this is your show. So you're the big artist. I'm just the opening act.
What are you going to be?
You close the show.
Big artists get in trouble today. I don't know if we're gonna exist after today. Nigel.
Your name is not West. You don't have to worry.
Nigel is behaving in a way that Anyhow, Nigel, thank you for coming on, especially at such a short notice. Your contribution has been very, very good. We need to continue, I think, to keep that feeling that people had when we were having success in football, so that we can keep people connected and hopefully start to do something, especially the people in charge of football in the Caribbean and the region, because we need the whole region to be vibrant. This is not just about one island or one country. This is about the entire region, because if the entire region is developing, then there's an opportunity for everybody to develop, and not just one or two teams. So hopefully people in the region, I want to encourage you to ask everybody that you know to get on the platform. I am sure Sports Caribbean, so that we can have more of this conversation, have more people like yourself, and have conversations about, where people can share ideas. And hopefully one day, I am sure Sports and a lot of the other guys in Jamaica, everybody is different and run the platform in a different way. And as I said to you earlier today, I like how Management run his, but collectively, I believe, and Management, you could verify this, I believe that you all have been able to get people to do things a little bit different and make some changes. You've been able to hold people accountable. I don't know. Right. Trinidad, in football, things are tailored to environment. Okay, that's what they tell you. Everybody, environment is different. So Trinidad is a different place. Barbados is, St. Lucia. But hopefully they all could finally figure out that they need to do something because the future of a lot of young people is at stake.
And every major transformation in the Caribbean has always happened with the voice of the people.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
this platform has done is made the voices of the people be heard by the stakeholders. And it has brought about change. And Trinidad needs that. Barbados needs that. Guyana needs that. Right? This is Nazir Gray. He's a scout. He's not a scout, an agent. So he brings a lot of players across Europe. And I mean, this is something that we're ending, but we're going to talk, because the truth is you don't hear about CFU anymore. You hear only about CONCACAF.
Yep.
You realize?
Yep.
We really don't hear about the CFU. It's almost as if that we have just become so enveloped in CONCACAF that we don't exist separate.
Yeah.
But what is strange is that the Central Americans are meeting and working and having tournaments.
Yes. Yes.
At the youth level. Regularly, the Hondurans and the Guatemalan and El Salvadorians, they play.
Yeah, there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening.
Yeah, but
And it's,
yeah, man.
and
But
it's,
great show. Great show. And really, listen, really appreciate both of you guys coming on, and let us be part of that light. So you see, this is Jamaica and Trinidad, because we are one Caribbean.
Yeah.
Right? When Trinidad is in the World Cup, Jamaica is happy. When Jamaica is in the World Cup, Trinidad is happy. We had Leon St. Louis and Russell Latapi playing in Jamaica.
Yep.
We had Jamaicans playing in Trinidad. All those things have stopped.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got to get back to that.
We need to get back to that.
We need to get back to that. For we're one Caribbean. And if all of us grow together, then all of us are stronger. This idea that we can be so isolated, we are too small to try to do it by ourselves.
Correct.
We need each other.
Yeah, we do.
We need each other. And so let's push that agenda across the Caribbean, especially for the sports of football, because I think it is the most galvanizing of all the events, because track and field, glory, is very individual.
Yeah.
Football is very team-based.
Yes.
And trust
Football
me.
is powerful. Football is powerful.
Yes. Cricket is not played in as many nations as football is, though it's important to our Caribbean heritage.
When you think that and we keep going on, we need to get off in 2 minutes. When you think about the national team coach of a country is one of the most important jobs in that country because of what the national team means to the people. That's how powerful football is.
Yeah.
The national team coach must be the type of individual that could lead and that could inspire and that could move people, not just within your federation, but in the business community, the players, and that's a very important job. So that tells you, because the pride of the people is tighted, right? When people want to get up and see the national team play and get excited and spend a lot of money to go see. I didn't think twice about going to Germany. I didn't care what it cost. I just know I had to experience it. So you when you look at the value of those things, I think it's really important that people get on board and start to do things that would lift up the football in the Caribbean.
Yes, people. So, well, people, listen, that's it. Again, we encourage you, we urge you, please hit the like button, subscribe, share. Remember, I am Sure Sports Caribbean. We have Shaka Hislop coming on. We have Aaron Lawrence. They call him Wild Boy. He kept for Jamaica. In fact, he was a goalkeeper in the goal when Jamaica won that game. The only game that he played is the only game Jamaica won. He came to replace Captain Warren Barrett, so he will be here. And in fact, he coaches in the Turks and the Caicos Islands. So he will not just be speaking about his experience, but what it is like in the Turks and the Caicos Islands as they try to become a known, a more known entity or group in football in the Caribbean. So we have him coming on. So stick and stay. with I Am Sure Sports as we continue to provide you with quality programming. All right. Great to have all of you in the comment section. I know you're saying, man, you did not put up my comment. You did not put up my comment. I promise you, I will have Nigel back, and at that time, you will be able to call in and pressure him. You understand me? And ask him something. We won't let him go through. Andre and I will protect him from the unruly.
Yeah.
But thank you all for coming on. Thank you again, Nigel. Thank you, Andre. I am Manny's Man. This has been I Am Sure Sports and I Am Sure Sports Caribbean. And when we get to this point, we normally say we are over and we are OUT out of here.
Yo, watch about dog, SK New Erdis, the body out there, Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Orchard Race, Galtigo Bay, everywhere. I Am Sure Sports, check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like, yeah, someone on for the food from young, from we there, you need height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.